Hi, I'm Elaine Holding. Welcome to my blog.stampwithelaine.com. Today's project is this diorama card using the Mountain Air bundle. This is a reversible stamp, so you can stamp both sides of the photopolymer stamp, and these are the coordinating dies that go with it. It will cut out the mountain range and the tops of that, and you've got 4 tree dies and a cloud. We're going to be using this one and the trees. We're also going to be using this sentiment from the Morning Star stamp set. The Stamparatus, I've already set up my Stamparatus to stamp the mountain ranges. I need the stitched rectangle dies, so I'm going to take the next to largest one, and the one below that, and the one below that. So it's the second, third and fourth largest stitch rectangle dies. The inks I'm using are Soft Sea Foam, Pear Pizzazz and Garden Green for stamping the mountain range. And for brayering the sky, I'm using Pool Party, Coastal Cabana and Pretty Peacock. And I've got separate sponges for each colour, so that's for the Pool Party, Coastal Cabana and Pretty Peacock. Tuxedo Black Memento ink, Smoky Slate, some Noble Peacock rhinestones. There's rather a lot of cardstock and cutting involved. A comprehensive list of the cutting guide will be over on my blog, both in metric and imperial measurements. There are 5 pieces, all cut at 5 3/4 inches by 4 3/8 inches. So in metric, that's 14.6 by 10.8 centimeters in 4 different colors. So there's 2 of the Pear Pizzazz, 1 in Pear Pizzazz and 1 in Garden Green, and 1 in Whisper White. There's also a Whisper White one that has been cut at 5 1/2 inches by 4 1/8 inches, 14 centimeters by 10.5 centimeters, and this will go on the back of the diorama card. You'll also need different heights of Whisper White for the trees in frame 1, frame 2 and frame 3. Whisper White cut at 5 3/4 inches by 1 1/2 inches. In metric, that's 14.6 by 3.8, 5 3/4 by 2 inches, 14.6 by 5 centimeters, and panel 3 is 5 3/4 by 2.5 inches, so that's 14.6 by 6.4. And a scrap of Whisper White to do the label. Last of all, you need 4 pieces in Soft Sea Foam, and these have been cut at 1 1/2 inches by 4 3/8 inches. That's 3.8 centimeters by 11.1 centimeters. With a short side on top, you need to score this at 3/8 inches, 3/4 inches and 1 1/8 inches. And you repeat for the remaining 3 pieces. In metric, you'll be scoring that at 1, 2, 3 centimeters. So you want to fold this in half and then bend the 2 outer score lines back, and then miter the edges and bottom, and repeat for the other 3 pieces. Remember to reinforce all the score lines so that they're nice and crisp, and then set those aside until you need it. Next, you want to die cut your apertures, and the largest one goes on the Soft Sea Foam. The one below that will go on the purposes. Just a tip, you might want to wait until you've die cut your first one so that you can lay that on top. This is my second, so you can find at the center of the next rectangle you have to die cut. So there are my frames cut. Don't throw those away because you can use it for something else. If you do it by eye, then you run the risk of wasting the cardstock because then it won't be center. So if you lay the previous die cut one on top, then you can be sure to get it right bang in the middle. Stamp the shortest one. Just use some washi tape to stick that down because the magnet is getting in the way. You stamp with the lightest colour first, so that will be in the soft sea foam. Clean the stamp, then stamp it on the next largest one. Change ink pads to the medium coloured one, which is Pear Pizzazz. I'm going to stamp the mountain ranges in Garden Green, which is the darkest colour. Now I'm going to stamp the largest piece in Garden Green. I've inked up my mountain ranges stamp, and it's on the reverse, which is the solid image, and I'm just going to stamp that. Clean the stamp, reverse it so that I can stamp on here. Pick up the stamp, ink it up, now we're ready to die cut the mountain ranges, and the reason I'm not using this one is because it will cut right through, and I really need the bottom bit as well when I'm gluing the seam to the top of the mountain range. So I'll do that off camera and I'll be back. I need to fussy cut this piece. Now I'm going to glue these on the back. So if I do that now, I won't lose them. Make sure which is the front and which is the back. You don't want to glue it on the wrong side. I'm just going to snip off a little bit by eye so it won't jut out on the end. And just to double check that this is lower than this piece here, so you can see it when you glue it on, and then trim off the excess. That's the front, so this is the back. Now to do a bit of brayering, so I need to make sure that I've got the right cardstock. So that's the one that goes behind, and I want to make sure that I'm brayering in the right place. I'm just going to mark the opening and the mountain ranges. So I'm going to grab my ruler and extend that line. So that's the top of the mountain ranges, and then I'll rub this bit off so you can't see it. Okay, so that'll give me a guideline on where to brayer. So I'm going to start off with the lightest, which is the Pool Party, and I'm going to speed this up First I'm going to cover it all with Pool Party. Change brayer sponges and ink. Now I'm going with Coastal Cabana, and I'm going to work from the bottom up to the middle. Change brayer sponges to the Pretty Peacock and work from bottom up again. So now we're ready to adhere this piece. So I want to put dimensionals all along the bottom, but steer away from the sides along here and here. So I can go from the bottom. Remove the backing strip. Then turn it round and you can adhere that. I'll bring back my stamp apparatus, but I'm just stamping this freehand because there's a sponge underneath. Now we're going to stamp the back of the card. So I'm going to stamp some trees here. Stamped off, and while I've got the trees out, I'm going to stamp some trees so that we can die cut it. Reverse stamp. I'm going to stamp off first and stamp up in this corner here. Clean the stamp. Do the same for the cloud. Oh, blow. I forgot to press record, but basically what I've done is I've stamped off using the cloud stamp on the reverse, and then the cloud afterwards, and the same with this stamp. I don't know about you, but no matter how hard I try, sometimes when I'm using darker inks, I tend to leave smudges. So I'm just covering up the smudges with these birds. Sponge daub this piece. Adhere this piece to the second soft foam piece, which will be the back of your diorama card, leaving an even border all round. Now we're ready to assemble the card. So this is where you need to put your adhesive on the side here and line up your hinges. So that nothing is jutting out, and that this bit and that bit is aligned. And do the same for this side. Okay. Do the same with your pear pizzazz piece. So you want the adhesive on the back. And line it up. Like so. Now Now I've already done this side, so let's do the other side. So you want to put adhesive on there and join these together. Make sure it's flush. And then on the last one, you want adhesive on both sides. And then you sandwich this bit into the last panel, like so. Make sure it's all flush and then stick it down. Put adhesive on the front and back of the last hinge, and where you put dimensionals, leaving the sides free, you can slot this in like so and adhere that. And press it down to make sure it's nice and firm. And then the last thing you do is adhere this piece on top. You can see I got a bit confused there and mucked it up, but it will all be covered up by the back panel. Okay, make sure it's the right way up. Last thing to do is do the sentiment, so I'm just going to ink it up in garden green and stamp. Make a fishtail. And I've stamped and die cut my trees, so I can pop them on here. Oops, got too much glue. Steal some from that, and that one goes in there. And one over here. Curl this a bit. Put a dimensional on the bump. Tuck that in. And adhere it. Noble peacock rhinestones to finish. So there's lots of steps to this, but it's worth it, I think, in the end. Thanks for joining me today. All the links to the supplies are listed below this video. The measurements are over on my blog. I'll give you a link when that publishes, and pop back for more inspiration next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.